With me today are also Chris Dawkins and Caleb Alexander. So are you guys tired yet? This has been a long 5 days, So I think we're going to start talking about the birthright situation. What are your thoughts about him trying to redefine birthright citizenship?
Besides the fact that it's highly illegal
Yeah.
and unconstitutional. I mean, was it in Seattle? You had the Reagan-appointed judge in Seattle that says, there's no doubt about it, there's no need for review, this is highly unconstitutional. You know, and this is, again, a Reagan-appointed federal judge. You can't just change the Constitution through executive order. It's him throwing red meat at his base, trying to say, well, I fulfilled the campaign promises. But no, birthright citizenship, that puts a lot of people in a very precarious situation.
But they've already arrested U.S. citizens, right, especially one who is a veteran, mm-hmm, and he's down somewhere, trying to defend that he is, retired military veteran, but they picked him up because he looked Hispanic.
Right.
So there is no rhyme or reason as to what they're doing. But what's really disturbing is that it's all hands on deck in terms of being able to go into schools, hospitals, nursing homes, retirement centers, all these places. And my question becomes, where is the decency in this? How is it that Christian nationalists,
they don't even need that Christian title in front of their name anymore,
are supporting this? These were the same people walking around several years back with signs. What would Jesus do?
But this is the guy that wouldn't even put his hand on the Bible during the oath of office for presidency. Mm-hmm. So my feeling is, number one, he doesn't know anything about the Constitution, Caleb, and he doesn't know anything about how government works. The guy is in there doing what he is doing by the seat of his pants and asking other folks to be able to decipher what he's doing and throw it up against the wall and decide whether it's legal or not legal. He's just doing it. Y'all figure it out, and let's get it together.
This is the Trump revenge tour. That's what it is. That's all. This guy is going after everybody, attacking. I know we'll probably get to this later, but they're dismantling DEI. They are going. How petty can you be to take away Fauci's security detail? Like, why?
But let me say this: if we're gonna talk about Trump, we got to talk fast because
it's too much. Something like change in the next 5 minutes, right? You might do something else for the next 5 minutes.
Like last night, midnight. Now, I just happened to be up at 3 o'clock in the morning when I saw this. He fired all of the inspector generals.
Right. For what? Why?
He can stick his own people in there.
Stick his own folks in there because the inspector generals make sure everything is done correctly. Mm-hmm. They're very transparent. He doesn't want any transparency. And then when you have Hedgesiff now.
Except,
I was going to say hedgehog.
Yeah,
but
same thing.
When you have Hedgesiff now as Secretary of Defense, it's an absolute slap in the face.
Yeah. It's a shit show. Let's just be honest with you. This guy has zero experience running any kind of organization. Like
you're talking about
the Secretary of Defense. He's going to run.
But he was hired on merit.
The largest, right? That's what it keeps. Yeah, the largest, most lethal organization in the history of mankind. This guy hasn't run. He hasn't run the equivalent of a Wendy's. I mean, he hasn't managed that many people. A manager at Wendy's has more managerial experience than this guy has.
What we've got to do is come up with a term that what it is. If you're not a DEI hire, okay,
they're all DEI hires.
What's his name?
Hegseth.
Yeah, Hegseth.
All of them are DEI hires. Linda McMahon. You can go through his entire his entire cabinet. None of them have any experience in the jobs that they've done. Not a single one of them.
So did not earn?
Did not earn it.
Did not earn it. Mm-hmm. And that's what they said about us.
So this whole thing is you're just sitting back and just watching. And I came off of Facebook for about a month because it was becoming too much. But by the same token, I was doing some drive-by viewing of Facebook to see what was going on out there. Plus, of course, you've got the other news sources that we can use. But I don't know, guys. You need to get ready. And I really want to thank the folks who sat on the couch and did not vote.
Or even, you know what? So, and I know I've said this plenty of times. They keep, you can just go back to Nazi Germany. That's all you gotta do is research the history of Nazi Germany. They keep pulling papers. They're pulling. I mean, that's all it is. They're recreating everything that they've done in Nazi Germany and applying it to today. We've become a society where they're gonna be saying papers, please. And you're going to have your papers. If you look Hispanic, you're going to have your papers on you.
Well, they're already making suggestions to everybody to carry papers.
Carry your papers.
You know, so like birth certificate.
Yeah.
Passport, if you carry it.
Or passport card or whatever it is. Yeah.
So they're already suggesting.
But my thank you goes to the Latinos who voted for him. And we got to be thanking folks, let's be honest with you. They didn't want to vote for a black woman, so they voted for this guy. And the first thing he did was remove the Hispanic part of the White House website.
Yeah,
that's the first thing. The first thing they did is took down the Spanish section. So yeah, that was before they did anything else.
Okay.
They took down the Spanish section of all the government agencies.
I haven't checked that.
No more
I
Spanish.
wonder, if anything else has been taken down because the Constitution was also removed.
Wow. They are no. That was the first thing they did. So all the huge number of Latino population who voted for this guy, hey, thank you. You know what I mean? You get what you vote for. This is what you voted for. And now Latinos are being rounded up, and I think the last figure I heard was 47% of migrant farm workers aren't showing up in California, and 26 or 27% of them aren't showing up in Texas. So we're gonna see. You think the price of eggs is high? Wait till you go to the store and see the price of everything else: lettuce and tomatoes and cucumbers and everything else that those migrant farm workers go out there and harvest.
Well, let alone
you're gonna see that. You're gonna see the results.
We now have a bird flu thing going on, and they said the CDC and the
which they've gutted.
Yeah,
which they've gutted. The CDC.
So we could end up with another pandemic.
And
all I know is this, and we're going to talk about that more in detail in our other show, but. You guys need to get some masks. You need to store up on Clorox. There's a whole lot we need to do. In fact, and I'm thinking about all of the procedures we went to when we were stationed in Japan with vegetables. We soaked those things in Clorox, water and Clorox to clean them before we even thought about cooking them. Because at the time where we lived, there's this thing called the Benjo truck.
The what?
The Benjo truck. And the Benjo truck is really a poop truck.
Okay.
And so they will go into the ground and pull out the sewage. And of course, it would fire up the entire neighborhood. But because we weren't sure how the vegetables were getting fertilized, we were advised to go ahead and, implement Clorox, put some Clorox in the water.
What country was it?
Japan.
Okay.
This is back in the 60s. So there's going to be a lot of stuff that we're going to have to do, especially with these these farmers being taken out.
Yeah.
And the other thing is, the kids not showing up in schools either.
Right.
So it's going to be a total hot mess. Because they can go into the schools now
and get the kids.
Low-bearing fruit.
People are living in fear, like literally living in fear that DHS is going to show up and take them away, take them off their jobs, take I mean, because they're already doing raids all across the country.
I definitely don't look Hispanic, but I'm telling people, you saying stock up on stuff and whatever. I'm saying get you a to-go bag. Sitting at your door in case you gotta pick up something.
Get you some the MREs,
the clothes, and whatever. So that you.
So,
Seriously speaking, when you talk about the fires that happened in Los Angeles, most of those people weren't prepared, and this is a way to also be prepared. We're talking about preparedness for a different reason, but you just need to be prepared so that you, your kids, your family, your wife, whoever, has the essentials that you need if you have to leave your home. It's one thing to have the stuff there, but it's also something else that if you got to leave, have you to go back.
I ain't going nowhere. I'm stocking up on ramen noodles and all kinds of chili, and I'm just stocking up because I know the price of food is going to go through the roof. But the main thing I'm stocking up on is popcorn. I'm going to sit outside my door and watch everything because you get what you vote for. You get what you vote for.
So let's speaking about get what you vote for, the pardoning of the January 6th criminals.
By the party of law and order.
By the 34 felons.
Say that again.
By the party of law. I'm enjoying this. You know what I mean? I'm enjoying this. You know what I mean? The party of law and order.
And I don't know if you heard that one guy was picked back up. He was free for one day, and the state went in and went ahead and arrested him. But just think about it. Going back to this roundup of Hispanics and everybody else, the purpose is to get those immigrant criminals off the street, right? So you mean to tell me there was an exchange here? We're getting the immigrant criminals off the street, and they done loaded up the street with U.S. criminals.
Yeah, well, violent insurrectionists. I just want to, where your back the blue side? Let's pull out the back the blue side. You know what I'm saying? They like to pull him out with his police, with police killing unarmed black people, and the black community reacts. Then all of a sudden they run out with their back the blue signs. Pull them out the closet. I want to see the back the blue signs right now.
But the U.S. Go ahead.
No, this administration has released a bunch of violent criminals who assaulted police officers on national television for the entire world to see. You know what I mean? Spraying them with bear spray, beating them. I mean, they had one police officer that was crushed. They was crushing them in between the doors. They were taking their shields. There was police officers who will never recover from the injuries. You know what I mean? So I want, where you back the blue signs? That's what I want to see.
And out of all of that, the National Police Union endorsed it.
It's still endorsed it.
Right.
Still endorsed it. I want to know where that endorsement is today. How they feel about that endorsement. Anybody want to revisit that endorsement? That's what I want to know.
Yeah, so it's kind of like you voted, you didn't vote for your interests.
Or the automakers. When you talk about that, I know we're getting off subject, but if you put these tariffs in place, then I saw a guy on TV earlier this week, and he was in New Jersey, and he was talking about if this happens, they said even a car that's assembled in the U.S. Is going, because they said the batteries and maybe some of the other stuff are imported. They said you're going to raise the cost of a car by 30. He said between 15 and 30%.
Because let me tell you something. You can't make a car without high strength steel. You can't make high strength steel without platinum. 95% of the world's platinum comes from South Africa.
Okay.
And so you can't make an EV battery without cobalt. 75% of the world's cobalt comes from the Democratic Republic of Congo. So, I mean, it's just, there's a global supply chain. And countries, I think that these people have an idea, a misconception about the U.S. and about U.S. power. Because we live in a very integrated world. Nobody is scared of the U.S. If the U.S. puts tariffs on a country, that country is going to reciprocate and put tariffs on the United States. The only country that the U.S. has a major trade imbalance with is China, where that we import more from China than China imports from us. The rest of the world makes up for that imbalance because they import more for the U.S. So what's going to happen is if you put a tariff on their stuff, they're going to put tariffs on your goods coming into their country, which is going to hurt the U.S. economy.
So let's swing back to the January 6th folks real
Okay.
quick. Supposedly, he released those folks. We already know that. But the purpose of possibly releasing them, in my opinion, is that he's setting up his militia
I
of
agree.
little imps.
I agree.
You know, because I don't know whether it was the guy with the horn and the blue and red face. You know, looked like he was wearing a diaper, whatever he was going on. He came out the prison talking about he was going to buy him a bunch of guns.
Yes. Now he finna go to the gun store and get some MFing guns. I seen that tweet.
But he shouldn't be able to get them because a felon shouldn't be able to get guns, right?
But Trump pardoned him.
So I don't think that he might have pardoned him, but I don't think that gets rid of them being a felon.
You know, the
Yeah,
way
It does.
It does.
So-
It's a full presidential
So
pardon.
let's look at what we got here. We've got unqualified people in the various state departments, okay?
Mm-hmm.
And they're loyalists to Trump.
Mm-hmm.
Which is the first qualification.
The only.
And then the second qualification is you have to be a criminal yourself.
The
Okay.
way it seems, yeah.
Well, you see,
Uh-huh.
even that woman, McMahon,
And it has to be sexual assault.
yeah, you know, even she was accused of
Sexual assault.
of sexual assault or supporting sexual assault. So we've got criminals running the country now.
Mm-hmm.
You got criminals running the country. We've got billionaires who really just have a lot of money, who probably don't know what they're doing either.
No, but
Yeah.
they still run the country.
They still run the country. We've got Elon Musk. I don't think he knows what he's doing either.
No,
You know,
he inherited his money from his parents.
so I'm just kind of concerned about the future of this country, but we have to sit back and watch and see what happens. And then finally, let's go ahead and talk about the crypto world.
Mhm.
Melania and Trump released the weekend before inauguration.
Mm.
They're crypto men. They don't want to call it a coin, but you know, let's just call it a spade. A spade was a coin.
Mm-hmm.
They made billions of dollars
Mm-hmm.
on it, but it crashed big time because people lost billions.
Mm-hmm.
And when I was reading up on that coin, the people had to sign off on a disclaimer that this is not for investment purposes.
Mm-hmm.
If this coin crashes,
Mm-hmm.
we should have told you right then that this bad boy is getting ready to crash. We are not going to be held responsible.
Right.
So you had people who just don't know, just don't understand that Trump does not pay back.
Trump is a con man.
And you had a lot of people who invested their life savings into these coins,
Mhm.
only to lose all of their money.
That was the heist.
Hmm.
That was nothing but a transfer of wealth from dummies to the new oligarchy. That's good. That's all it was. It was a scam from the very beginning, and all of his supporters. It's a gravy train, and everything he puts out, from his ugly gold tennis shoes to his gold Bible to everything he does, he knows his people are going to run out and buy it. This crypto thing was nothing but a heist from the very beginning. People bought into it, supported him, and a lot of people they lost a lot of money behind it. This is what's happening now is going to be one of the biggest transfers of wealth from the dummy class to the tech class. That's what it is, and I hope none of my folks buy into this. Please do not buy into this, because this is the first scam, because there's gonna be plenty more where they're just after your money. This is a money grab. This coin, really, one of the things it was designed to do was to get foreigners, Saudi Arabia, United Emirates, as a way to transfer money to Trump and the Trump organization, and do so semi-legally by buying and investing in these coins. You know what I mean? Oh, I'm a Saudi sheik. I just bought $1 billion worth of Trump coins. You know what I mean? Oh, I'm from the UAE. I just bought $1 billion worth of Trump coins.
So technically, they didn't lose money per se, but they gained access to
yes,
to him.
it was a pay, it was a way to payment. It was a
to his
payment.
office, to the office.
Yes, it was just a payment. It was a way to transfer wealth, and a lot of the dummy class got caught up in it. But
Well, you
that's
do know one of the billionaires that supported him is a crypto guy. And they are already talking about changing over the U.S. currency into totally crypto.
that
and
would
then
never
this,
happen.
And then this week he talked about getting rid of the penny altogether.
But that was Musk talking about, he found out a way on how to reduce the deficit in the country. He's going to take away the penny.
How's that going to reduce the
That's just crazy. It's just crazy.
You got to round up to a nickel. That's basically what it is. All transactions are going to end in 5, instead of 1. Everybody's going to have to round up. I mean, it's another. It's money grab after money grab after money grab, and that's what these people are good at: is finding ways to pump money out of the U.S. economy.
Well, let me ask you this. I don't know. I'm no economist. Is that a good idea? Sounds like it might be a good idea.
Well, it's a good idea for them.
But when you start dealing in the crypto world, you have to decide how far you're going to take it before you pull. I've seen fluctuations in the coins that I have, but I'm letting it ride, right? But I do have a cutoff in mind as to once it hits a certain number, and if it's there, I'm pulling that money out. But a lot of people thought that it was going to be a viable coin over time.
Yeah.
And you can't deal with cryptocurrency over time. You have to have a cutoff point. But in the case of these people, his followers and her followers that invested in them, it was kind of like, we got our billions, we're gonna let it crash.
See, crypto is not backed by any government.
Right.
You understand what I'm saying? It's just out there. It's free floating. It's under nobody's control. Crypto, there's no country will ever allow crypto to supplant its currency. It won't allow it to plant, because once you supplant that country's currency, you supplant its sovereignty, and no country is going to give up its economic sovereignty to something that's just out there free floating. And I know we're coming is at the end of our hot topics, but there is one thing that is on my mind and that I have to talk about in hot topics, if you guys allow me.
What is it? Because I may have it in the main show.
So, Trump declared the drug organizations to be terrorists. So they're no longer criminals, now they're terrorists. So by declaring them terrorists, that opens up a host of other options, and that's scary.
Well, one of the insurrectionists that he released has a dark web account where he was running drugs through there. He was running women through there, boys through there. He was trafficking folks, but he was a kingpin on the dark web. But he released that person.
Of course. No, so what I'm talking about was something on a different scale. And so when you declare those folks and those organizations terrorists, that now allows you to conduct drone strikes.
Oh, okay.
In Mexico, our neighbor to the south.
I don't think homegirl down there gonna let that happen.
Hey, it's a lot of countries that didn't want it to happen, but you could ask most of the countries in the Middle East and a whole bunch of them in Africa, they can't stop it. And so at a lot of times what happens is when you conduct drone strikes, you have a lot of collateral damage. So how many innocent folks are going to get killed under the guise of they're going after the cartel?
So then that means eventually it could be a war.
I mean, what you're going to have is a situation where drone strikes in Mexico?
Yeah.
Or using special forces in Mexico? A sovereign country, our neighbor to the south, that's a scary proposition. And then you can look at the language that they're using to set this up. We're being overrun. This is an invasion. What scares me the most, though, what concerns me the most is they use the same language to describe African American cities like Chicago. It's a war zone. We're being overrun. And so there is a short trip from declaring those drug organizations along the border as terrorists to declaring those drug gangs in Chicago as terrorists. And so that opens up a whole lot. The last time we had a war on drugs in this country, a so-called war on drugs, it devastated the black community. A lot of innocent folks got locked up. A lot of innocent men and women went to prison. It broke up families. And it was one of the largest transfers of wealth from the black community to the U.S. government. Because what they did, asset seizures. Under the guise of asset seizures, they took untold amounts of wealth out of the black community. Back then, this mobile banking and black people are the most underbanked folks in the world. So a lot of us, we would get our paycheck, we walk around, we'd have our money, whatever, you know what I mean? And the police would ride up and they take your money. And it's up to you to prove that you earned that money. And the police were incentivized because those police departments got to keep the majority of what they stole from you. And so you now have the same situation occurring. You know what I mean? It's being set up, the same situation, the same language. And so that's concerning. This idea of our community, once again, will be targeted, but being targeted again in this manner, where it's now a war on drugs.
So let me ask you this question. If you say there could be drone strikes in Mexico, what do you think they would do in Chicago?
Wholesale roundup of the black community. I mean, just the same thing, asset seizures, forfeitures. You know what I mean? Police would go in, they would see a car they like, they would seize it, and then they have their private police auction, the police go buy that car. And so it's a big transfer of wealth from our community to the police officers, to the government. And so we need to be careful about the language. We need to be careful about this new idea, the language that they use, this new idea of this war on drugs. There's already assault on black folks and assault on DEI. And that assault on DEI is to get black folks out of the room. That's what that's about.
Okay. Whew, that was heavy. So we want to thank you for sitting in and listening to this conversation of contemporary Black Voices Hot Topics. But before we sign off, we want to say thank you to Carl Booker and Linnell Taylor, who are the producers of this show. And without them, we could not do this. You want to say something, Chris?
I was just going to say, look at this magnificent book. I think it is absolutely beautiful, and it's got a lot of great information in there. And I just want to say, if you're in the area, pick up the Black Book for 2024. This is a Black Book, and the event is going to be happening very soon.
January 28th.
January 28th, coming up. So that's this Tuesday, isn't it?
It's at the Carver.
That is Tuesday, January 28th, Carver Cultural Community Center. You can also order this bad boy online. Lots of information, lots of black businesses. You want to support black business? This is how we survived the Trump era, by supporting each other, supporting black business. Wonderful stories about people in our community, a lot of the movers and shakers. Black Book 2024, it's a must-have. You got to get this book, absolutely.
Okay, and with that, we're going to say thank you so much for sitting in, and come to, and listen in on our other show, Contemporary Black Voices, where we'll talk about some other, in this case, Trump stuff. Mm-hmm.